and increasingly broadcast is verging more to the right in every sense of the word. Yes, you see women with big hair on TV, but they're reciting fatwas. They're not reciting. They're not campaigning against for women's rights, right? So it's good to see women on anchors and news persons cast editorial opinions. Except these editorial opinions aren't necessarily modernity driven. They're not necessarily progressive. So so once again, the have versus have not, the English versus Urdu divide. But I think while it's always been a sort of an easy thing to go back on that, oh, the rich are the real liberal secular thinkers in Pakistan, I would completely disagree, because if you follow social media, which I like calling, in Pakistan's case, the anti-social social media, because that's what these guys are doing, you sort of go on to see that the profiles of some of the people who, for example, I was mentioning the governor's assassination, and the people who were condoning the assassination of the governor, saying mashallahs and praise to Allah and da-da-da and Qadri is a hero. I went and checked some of their profiles, and one of these guys, I'm not going to take his name, he was around a very, very good-looking young foreign woman in a University of Toronto club in Toronto with a what looked like a very interesting martini in his hand, and a glow sort of choker. So he was obviously having a lot of fun that night. But this chap you wouldn't expect pictorially this chap to fit into the combine of the extremists. And that begs the larger question: are we more radicalized on every level than we know? Facebook and Twitter, while the toast of the town, people are lining up in hordes to give Zuckerberg a Nobel Prize, right? Look at what this Harvard dropout has done for the Middle East. Yeah, okay, good, but look at what he's doing to Pakistan. It is a tool, and it is being used by very intelligent people optimally, and that goes on to indicate to me that it is the educated elite who are no longer liberal. Increasingly, yes, there's other examples of liberal elite fighting really hard for that, but not as much as this. So.
Yeah, I was just going to, you ended your talk with the comment about whether a liberal, if you will, democracy can ever exist without separation, in effect, without separation of church and state. And in Pakistan, it seems to me, what happened after Jinnah was first the name of the country changed, of course, from the Republic,
the Dominion of Pakistan,
Dominion of Pakistan, to the Islamic Republic of Pakistan.
Yep.
And was that Al-Haq who was it Al-Haq?
No.
It was before Al-Haq, maybe. But it seems to me a couple of real milestones are when Al-Haq began to be co-opted by extremists, and when the military supported the extremists in Kashmir as a, if you will, a surrogate army
right.
to fight the Indians. When those, there are other events obviously, but those two sort of, to me, seminal events stick out. Where in effect what happened was the powers in the society decided not to compromise instead of standing for what could have been the development of a modern liberal democratic state.
Right.
They decided to be co-opted because it was the easier and the most simple thing to protect their own self-interest.
Absolutely.
They thought. It turns out, of course, the same guys who were fighting in extremists fighting in Kashmir turned out to then bite them in the butt when they started attacking the army itself.
I believe the term is blowback.
Yes, right. So my point is that what's happened is this this co-option of these liberal people. I think many of these liberal people really are liberal. They're just so afraid either, as you pointed out, or they're so cowardly that they just don't want to face this business of tolerating intolerance.
Right.
Were you afraid?
Wow, what a question. Well, here's the thing. First of all, I'll get to that, Greg. That's a very loaded question.
Yeah.
First of all, that's less loaded. So to answer you first, the military does not live in a bubble. The military in Pakistan, as the strongest, they call themselves the most organized organization in the country. They're very proud of that. Yes, they are, perhaps. but they have lived and breathed and survived on your taxpayer dollars. Your government,
Exactly right.
government after government, has more or less, if you look at the patterns, it's firstly it's a bipartisan relationship, right? Everybody's like it's just not a left-right thing in the States. Both parties have helped out the Pakistani military and built it up and propped it up on your taxpayer dollars, to, well, play its own game. Now, let me, for the record, this is my military. I'm very proud of my military. I've been embedded with my military. I have a documentary, which is the most comprehensive documentary ever made on the military. I've made it. I've also been banned for making it by the military itself. So I have the respect for my military sacrifices. I also have complete and utter disrespect for its politicization. I don't think they're professional soldiers, right? But I think that because Pakistan has always just been this gaping big black hole as far as the American polity is concerned, I feel that enough generations of Americans have just paid for Pakistan's follies by propping up its military, not even knowing where it exists, what it's doing to the world, much less to itself, much less to American interests. And I think it's wrong to just cite ul Haq and his experiment in the 80s, because it started much earlier.
Yes, yes.
It started much earlier. It started when America opened up the floodgates for the Pakistani war machine by placing U-2 pilots in the 50s in Peshawar to run like special ops, like spy flights into the Soviet Union, because that government, which America was propping, was illegal. And this is the 50s. This is when Ike was around. There was no Mullah Omar then. So this started a long time ago. Yeah, well, Haq really took it to the next level. For everybody else's reference, he's referring to Zia-ul Haq, the godfather of global jihadist political Islam, in my opinion.